Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the King of Average podcast with your boy BB and
Medic.
absolutely. This one's really exciting today. This one's very exciting today.
Sweet.
I didn't think it was possible, but I made it. We made it possible.
Yeah.
You know what it was? I was committed to making it possible.
And today, topic is going to be about the power of commitment.
That was such a smooth transition.
Let's do it.
All right, dude. Absolutely.
Let me take it away. So when it comes down to commitment,
Well, hold on. Slow down, bro. Slow down.
just try to commit to it.
We got three cameras set up for the first time, and this almost feels legit.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if are we even allowed to be this legit?
Shout out to
Shout out, shout out to Inside Jokes. Welcome back. I love it because even in the last edit, like you couldn't even hear it. Like you just heard like a weird, it almost sounded like a satanic noise. And it was just like, we're just dying of laughter from it.
Welcome back, brother.
But yeah, dude, this is too legit. We got three cameras, my GoPro, his GoPro, and then my flipping Canon T3i, which shout out Adam LD. He literally half of the equipment's his. The two lights, the Canon I bought it off him a few years ago. But that thing's been collecting dust for so long, and I really didn't even see like it ever being used ever again. And then I was like, you know what, dude, let's flip and see if it actually records videos. Well, now you know it records videos. And so I'm super hyped going into this. I'm really excited for what's about to come.
You know what it was? I think it's the whole thing of we've been shooting our video content strictly off my GoPro. And for us to slowly transition into getting a legitimate Canon camera,
right,
is amazing. Such a huge step. Like we're just slowly just
upgrading. Yeah, dude.
This turned from the dungeon to the studio, bro.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to all our subscribers, dude. Without you guys, none of this would be possible.
Was it Patronage? Is that what it is?
Patreon. Patreon page. That's why you thought it was one word.
Shout out Patreon.
Shout out the homies who were on the Patreon.
Okay. So we also decided in celebration of the three cameras that we have going on right now.
Let's have a hookah sesh.
Baby. So this one is that's for you guys.
Oh. You want to introduce the topic now? Or you want to take a hit?
You got to take a hit before you talk. So, as I alluded to before, kind of gave it away very early, today's topic is going to be a very important one. It's the power of commitment.
So the rest of the topics have not been important.
I mean, trash. But today is definitely it. So shout out Taj and shout out Amy for making this all happen. But regarding the whole thing, to go back to it and let's actually finally stick to it, is the power of commitment. So what comes to mind when you think of that phrase, power of commitment?
So what's really interesting is the idea for this topic really came about because you sent me a podcast episode of Grant Cardone, and I think I've no idea, but I think the episode was literally titled "The Power of Commitment" on his, or maybe it was just a vague title, but whatever the case was, that was the purpose of that episode for him. And Grant Cardone's a fast guy. He talks real quick, and he's like, "Hey, listen, man," and he just goes in. But what was really crazy is even though he had way too much energy, he was just going in on this topic. There were so many gems that could be extracted from that one talk, and I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. But to answer your question, what is the power of commitment? What does it mean to me, or what do I think of whenever I hear that? it really comes down to back to something we talked about before, where there's a will, there's a way, you know? And it's almost like when it comes out of the power of commitment, once you're able to build that commitment and structure your focus for that one thing that you wish to achieve or that one thing that you want to get done, it's almost like understanding the power of commitment is understanding your ability to literally burn through anything that's in your path in order to make that happen, in order to achieve that thing, in order to get it done, right? That's how it is for me. What about you?
So whenever I think about the power of commitment, I'm thinking of a person that is just all in, a person that knows what they want, and they obviously have that Tuwaka Allah kind of like attitude that, you know what, I know in what direction I may want to go, but I don't necessarily know how I'm going to get there. I just know that with the grace of God, I'm going to get there. So when it comes down to power of commitment, you just got to, it's power of commitment, bro, is full send. That's literally it. It's, I'm going to get there. I'm going to do it. I don't care if I'm sick. I don't care if I'm tired. I don't care if I'm hungry. I don't care if I'm going to do it. So the power of commitment really comes from within. And a lot of like these gurus and a lot of these like, you know, crazy influencers are going to try to talk to you and be like, well, the influence, you got to commit to everything and you just got to freaking go through a whole orphanage just to go to your goal.
The whole orphanage? For what kind of goal are we talking about here?
My goals.
Yo! So get to the point. What are you saying?
So what I'm trying to get to though is you got a full send. You have an idea in mind. You don't know how you're going to get there. Still do it. Fine. Talk to people. You'll be surprised the amount of things that you might get from your parents. You might get from a random stranger that you met in the freaking Starbucks line. You just never know. So if you put that energy out there, the world is going to guide you. It's the best thing that I can think of personally was right when I left ADP and I got recruited to work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And at that time I was broke. I was doing Uber on the side as well just to pay for gas and insurance. It's just very basic amenities. And I remember once I got my job at Enterprise, I mean, it wasn't paying me six figures, but it taught me a lot. But what I also got from that too was hunger. I was so hungry to work. I was so hungry for stability that I made the conscious decision that I'm going to make like any opportunities that comes my way to make money, I'm going to be open to it. Even if I don't know anything about marketing, if I don't know anything necessarily about, at the time, car rentals, I'm going to learn. There's no way that I'm going to pass up an opportunity until I try it. The whole thing of don't knock it till you try it. I was going to give it a shot. And I'm happy that I came to that conclusion mentally because that helped me carry on with the car rentals. That helped me carry on with other side hustles that were pretty successful in my life. But we were just talking off camera and we're like, man, like it's crazy how when opportunity comes, it happens to come all at once, meaning that there's multiple opportunities that comes your way at once. One of your boy hits you up for an opportunity and your other boy the other night goes ahead and hits you up with an opportunity. And then the other day, your brother goes ahead and hits you up, and then you're this, and then the rent. You're like, subhanAllah, like just a week ago, I was thinking, yo, what else can I get into? How else can I make money? But you put that energy out there. You put that intention out there. And I feel like God will give you a couple like treats or a couple opportunities to try to reach that, to try to be like, yo, you got this avenue. All you got to do is just try it out. You may not succeed, but don't feel discouraged by it. You're going to have to do it, and you may fail. You may fail. But at the end of the day, you tried it. And as, God, what was his name? Mark Cuban. He said, all you have to do is just be right once. You could do 100 businesses and fail at 99 of them. But it only takes one business to do it right and for it to go your way. And then automatically, all the doors have opened up. And you're like, whoa, you don't quit after the 9th or 10th or 98th or 99th try. You continue on until you find that path. If that path is not yet paved, what's that? But if that path is not yet paved, you have to find a way to get the proper equipment to pave that freaking path yourself.
That's commitment for sure. And I like the example. So one example that I kept thinking of, or a couple examples that I can also share that that really taught me the power of, try again until you get the result you're looking for, and kind of like developing that commitment to, I will not stop until this is done. One of the examples was when, we got hit up about the same thing. Toyota Supras right now are on 0% APR at Toyota. So it's a great car to start getting into the car rental game with. And it's also, just a great opportunity overall, really. And it was one of those things where I was like, okay, sick. Like, where can I find one? He goes, dude, you just have to do some research. Right. And I was like, okay, sick. So here I am on like Car Gurus. I'm checking Toyota dealerships. And I'm just like, just link after link. I'm like, I am going to find the right deal. I'm going to find the right car for me, for all of this to make sense. And it really was one of those things where it was just like, no, too high, too expensive. Their markup is way too ridiculous. This is not going to work. That's not going to work. Blah, blah, blah. I just kept going through it until eventually, all the way in flipping Southern Illinois, right? I find what our homie literally told me was the cheapest deal on a GR Supra that he's ever heard of in the entire country, So it really was a moment of like, hey, like I set my mind to it. I was committed to find a good deal, and holy smokes, I didn't just find it. Like I literally found the cream of the crop.
You found the deal.
I found the deal, Another example was when, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to this, like in terms of like tech, because tech gets really, really like tricky sometimes, really like literally technical. But, me and my brother invested in some Bitcoin rigs, right? Some mining rigs. So where you literally you set it up, you plug it into a source, and then, it just mines Bitcoin, and it's the most ghetto looking setup you'll ever see. Like it doesn't make any sense. It's just like a motherboard, a few graphics cards, and then just like a power source, but it's kind of cool. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you're just like, whoa, this is sick. And I'm trying to set it up because obviously this was it was a very expensive investment, so I'm trying to set up, I'm trying to figure it out. And I just ran into one problem after another. I just don't get it. Like it's not my field of expertise. So I just ran into one issue after another. And I remember you, I promise you, I've easily spent anywhere between 8 to 12 hours just setting it up. And literally more than half of the time, it wasn't necessarily because like trial and error in life, typically what is it? You try something, it fails, you try something different. For that, it was literally by definition insanity. Because I would try something, it wouldn't work. I would try it again, and then again, and then again, and then again, and then again. And literally I would have these moments in my head where I remember the Supra. It was funny. I remember the Supra. I was like, my effort of just trying the same thing over and over and over and over again, because I'm committed to this effort, Allah will reward my effort. And then finally, it would work. Like legit after 2 to 3 hours of trying, it would fail again. Another 2 to 3 hours of trying again, and then it would fail. And then eventually, like every time it worked, that's when I learned something different. And then when it stopped working, I was like, okay, I know what I need to do different. And then I would apply it. And then I would apply the new thing, right? And then boom, it would work again, right? And it was, I'm telling you, it was just the funniest thing, because like half of the time I was doing the exact same thing over and over and over again. But because I was committed to this working, somehow it just ended up working in the end. It was really dope.
So there was about like speaking to it, about to speak into the hookah. So there was another one that found it. So there was this one thing that I came across called the ABTN methodology, and basically what that acronym stands for is anything is better than nothing. And when I first read that, it was in a sales book called Objection by Jeb Blunt. And it's a great like sales book. And I learned a lot from it. But anything is better than nothing. Now, if you put that intention out there that you want to make money, that you want to be open to any opportunity that comes, even if it's not necessarily in your expertise, that like you're gonna try to thrive for it. And if you fail, you learn. But if you never did it at all, then you gained absolutely nothing. You're just in your position that you're trying to get out of. So as long as you try and you put effort into something, long term, it will give you some sort of good feedback. It will give you that confidence, because I love how when you talked about it, when you were failing constantly at the mining rig, and you were at the point where you almost wanted to give up because you're like, dude, this is just a waste. Can't believe I invested this money into it. I got sold on something and I'm just...
You go through all the emotions for sure.
And then out of all the emotions, you get that random thought that, man, I got a killer deal on my Supra and I had to really push for that. And that was just that one flickering light of hope that basically with yourself, your inner self, was saying, you got this. You're almost there. Keep doing it. So I believe in signs, man. I believe that if you put your energy out there, something will reciprocate. Something will show you that you're doing something good or you're doing something wrong. And it's not going to be as clear cut as possible. It's not always going to be just, yo, you're doing this wrong. There's going to be some sort of sign, but try not to, be so close-minded, and try to be aware of your surroundings, aware of what situation that you're currently going through. Because if you want to commit to something, you have to go all in. There's no such thing as going half-ass, or there's no such thing as going halfway to something. It's like getting into a relationship. Try to half-butt a relationship, a very serious relationship that you want to transition to, like to grow into like a marriage and a happy couple and forever. Try to barely work on that and see how far that gets.
I love how you made that connection, because that was literally what I went through. Because it was literally moments of, this is not working. I need to either get some professional help, or, I need to, like, this whole thing was just a waste. And truly, that was a remarkable connection, because that's what happened. Like, I literally was just like, I did not achieve that other thing, except that I did not quit on it. And so for this, it's going to be exactly the same. So yeah, once again, connecting back, where there's a will, there's a way. And, once again, if you don't know, once you secure that level of commitment, even though you have no idea how to start, even though you have no idea what the strategy is or what the system even looks like, when you're committed, you will find the system. And it goes back to being curious, you know, because when you're like, okay, for example, I want to start a marketing agency. And you're like, I don't know how, I don't know why, but I'm committed to starting this marketing agency. What's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to allow that curious mind of yours to go and find somebody who has a successful marketing agency, and you're going to seek their mentorship in order to get you started, in order to help you develop that system. So as long as you are committed, you will, once again, like he said, you will literally pave your own way. I think that's dope.
I came across a line quote recently, and actually, when I'd like to say it was yesterday.
Let him know when.
So this line is from the book, and I've referenced this so many times, but this freaking book is so amazing that I'm gonna constantly reference it.
Okay, I'm so sorry to cut you off. You're not going to believe who I just got an email from.
Who?
Monken Toyota of Southern Illinois. This just came 2 minutes ago. I swear to God.
Hey, you up?
Bro, they're listening. Bro, I'm not even lying. Look at that. That's the trippiest. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, you're going to keep referencing this book because it's amazing. Go ahead.
So going back to it, it's Atomic Habits by James Clear. And the quote goes like, when you can't win by being better, you can win by being different. So now going to make up my own analogies right now, I'm going to go off strictly what you just brought up with the Bitcoin rig. You tried, you're like, dude, this is just legit the definition of insanity. I'm just failing. And you could not win. But guess what? You won, meaning that you succeeded and you got results in it by being different, by trying different methods. And just because something seems to be impossible, just because one person failed at a specific business, you have to try different things. Just because someone has failed at something previously and they're like, I don't know, man, I tried this and this was my experience. Listen to that. Listen to the depth, to the details of what they were actually going through, which caused them to fail. And try something different. Because maybe they didn't see something. Maybe they didn't do something that you saw. Or that you were like, why didn't you, like you thought about it in your mind, you're like, why didn't you do this? Or have you tried to do this? Do it yourself and find out. Because someone else didn't win doesn't mean that you can't win.
There's a very interesting thing that I took into consideration at some point or another, not too long ago, it was maybe like last year. And it was this idea of, like by definition, what is a failure? And I'm not even talking about like, flipping dictionary definition. I'm talking about like by the understanding as, as people who don't mind trying different things.
We don't mind failing.
We don't mind failing, right? What categorizes a person as a failure, right? And more often than not, it's in the person's mind, and I guess this is kind of like inspired by textbook definition. A failure is someone who, simply has not achieved. They have not succeeded. They failed, because to some degree, they don't have a certain status or they don't have a certain level of wealth, right? But one thing that I realized is for me personally, and this kind of like, I'll just be person, but like for me, someone who has genuinely failed is someone who stopped trying. Someone who stopped trying. Because no matter what, and it's not even to the degree of like you've committed every breath of your life towards something. Not even to that degree. But I'm even talking if you put in any sort of an effort, I don't care what it is, a job, a business, even if it's flipping selling flowers on the exit of a freeway. You know what I'm saying? As long as you are trying, something will come out of it, which means to some degree, even at a minor level, you will achieve something. You will be successful at something. You will earn something. But the moment you've decided you're not going to try anymore, that is when you've reached that's when you've reached, by definition, failure.
So, real fast, as you were just talking about,
Make sure you make it fast.
as you were talking about the whole concept of what a failure is, our camera turned off. So quickly, I wanted to talk about something that came to mind, and I'm gonna need your help. You talked about perseverance, the power of commitment, staying true to your belief, staying true to your goal, and you're gonna be failing. But the definition of a failure that you just talked about was a person that completely gave up on the goal. Now, here's where I need your help. The story that came to mind was the story of Safa and Marwa. Explain that story really quickly.
That's actually a perfect example discussing perseverance and discussing, trying absolutely anything that's within your power.
For those that don't know.
So the story of Safa and Marwa is basically, our father Ibrahim, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, he had his wife and his child with him, and they were basically in the middle of the desert. And he pretty much got revelation that he needed to bounce to somewhere else, right? And literally leave his wife and child in the middle of the desert, right? And basically what happened was that child began to cry, because, the child was hungry and thirsty. They're literally in the middle of the desert. And, just like any mom would, she started Sitna Hajo. Sitna Hajo. She started freaking out just like any mother would. And she didn't know where to go, what to do. She's literally stuck in the middle of the desert. And I think it was like 7 times. She just ran basically back and forth, looking for help, looking for something, some sort of something to assist her in this situation. So she literally ran this distance back and forth that we now call Safa wal Marwa. She just ran it back and forth 7 times, searching for something. And once again, that's a prime example of you got to put in effort. If she were to just sit there and be like, something's going to come about, I mean, you can have that level of tawakkul for sure. But at the end of the day, Allah needs effort. Allah needs effort.
What ended up happening after that 7th time running back and forth? Those that don't know the story that well.
So I don't even know the story that well, but I'm not sure.
Hitting the ground.
So the specific details, I'm not 100% sure of. But yeah, she just basically just started, almost out of frustration, she started like digging or hitting the ground, like you're saying. And then, out came what is known as the well of Zamzam. And subhanAllah, from that day, there was a period of time where it stopped producing water, and that was a form of, they say it was like a form of punishment to the people. Allah was upset with the people. But from that day, literally just unlimited gallons of water have gushed from that well nonstop.
So I love to bring up that story because if that's not a good enough story of perseverance and staying committed to a goal, then I don't know what is. Here comes a lady with her son that is stuck in the middle of the desert.
And he was I think he was like a legit,
It was
like an infant. Yeah.
It got to the point where she would try to feed the baby, but the baby, like, she had nothing. She had no milk, no food. But still, she still tried. She could have just did what anyone else would have done in that situation. Why was it me? Why did my husband leave me? Why?
Or even in that situation,
And just sit down and just die.
or even in that situation, go as far as saying, "Why would God do this to me?"
Yes. Yes.
Which is like the most common excuse for failure nowadays.
And Adam talked about it yesterday. He's like, failure, honestly, is one of Satan's tricks. Because the second your person fails, and I'm not saying not saying fail like in a way of, they tried and they stopped and they tried a different thing. I'm talking about the khalas, they stopped. They gave up on it. The majority of the people are like, whenever they're going through any sort of calamities in life, they automatically start having that one thought that always creeps in. Why is God doing this? Bro, are you God? Like, do you understand why it's happening? Like, if anything, that should show you, or that should be a sign that I was talking about, to find something else, or to keep on trying, do something better, win in a different angle, take a different angle to win. So don't just sit down. Don't just give up. And then the easiest thing is to come up with excuses that I failed and, oh, God hates me. And, my parents raised me this way, and I was born into this family, and I was born into this country, and I was born into excuses. But guess what still stays consistent? That freaking problem, dude. So you're going to stop. You're going to complain. I get it. I do that. Everyone does that. But guess what I don't do? I don't stop. I continue. And then you continue and continue until eventually that problem is no more. You find a resolution. Like, you resolve that own problem to it. So this story was so profound. So as you're talking about and explaining what your thought of what a failure actually is, man, that story just popped up. And even though both of us don't know the 100% full-on story to give it, there's obviously way more people that are more knowledgeable and suitable to talk about it in details. But we get the gist of it. And hopefully y'all got the gist of it too. At the end of the day, that camera gave up on us again. At the end of the day, you need to persevere.
Oh, yeah. Even when you look at, by definition, what a commitment is.
You're committed to the hookah right now, bro.
It is where you got to get that last hit before you pass it. You know what I'm saying? But no, when you look at it by definition, what a commitment is, and you understand it. That was actually really funny for the content. I'm glad you did that. But when you look at when you understand what a commitment is by definition, and you grasp the idea that you are committed to something, and you really have to shift your mindset to the understanding that, like, no matter what happens, I will get what I'm seeking. And it really becomes a shift in understanding what a failure actually is. And it allows you to even develop the understanding that L's are for lessons, not for losses. Because when you do fail in the process, you're able to extract something from it. And even, I'll even take it as far as saying, like, dude, even if it does fail, quote unquote, altogether, next thing you know, one door has closed only for another door to open, right? So at the end of the day, when it comes down to just like the general understanding of what a commitment is, it really does have to be void of emotion. You have to wholeheartedly put effort towards something. And, based on that exact story of Sitna Hajo and, even the experiences that we went through, it really comes down to, even if you're in a situation where you don't know what it is you're even doing, but the fact that you're committed and you're doing absolutely anything, the reward of achieving will eventually come.
I absolutely love what you just said, that, because I feel like there's levels to a loss. There's levels to a person getting to a loss. And I feel like you fail, and right there where you think you're at a loss, you got lessons. All those failures are lessons. But once to fully get to what we know as a loss, that right there is meaning that you completely gave up. Now, not necessarily on a specific business or an idea, but meaning that you completely gave up on life. You gave up on trying. You don't want to anymore because you're so scarred that everything that you touch just dies and it fails and it just burns down. Oh, why you? Like, you were the only person in life that has came through any sort of calamities in life. Like, you're that one special individual that has failed, and that was basically destined for absolute failure, for a miserable life. Like, what a horrible mindset to have, and a horrible perspective to have on such a way, because that's not the case. You try, fall down, you pick yourself up, and you continue. You get into a relationship, you fail. You get into another relationship, and you may fail. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to stay single forever. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be staying single forever. You will stay single forever if you completely stop trying.
That's by definition failing at a relationship.
And as a human, biologically, if you don't give off offspring, you don't give off children, as a animal in the animal kingdom, you're considered a failure. You're considered a loser. So if you feel like you're going through something tough, a tough time, mentally, through business, in a relationship, perspective is the biggest thing that will push you through. That will push you through that dark, scary alley, that tunnel. It will push you through to the light. Because, as BB loves to mention all the time, no one's going to pay your bills. So with that whole analogy is that no one's going to get you out of this except for yourself. Everyone's looking to be saved. Everyone's looking for that one person that came out of the blue that they readily bumped into, and they're like, do you want to invest $10 and get $1 billion in return? I've never done that in my life, but you know what? I don't know you at all, but
sounds legit.
Yeah. They want that one thing. I want to buy a lottery ticket for $5 and become a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? Like the next day. Everyone wants that because it's easy.
Yeah, I think it's to kind of like touch upon that point.
Commitment is not easy.
Commitment is not easy. And, to understand that failure genuinely is part of the process, until you find, whatever works. It's just the simple understanding that
you're going to fail.
No.
You have to accept the fact that nothing is going to be 100% your way.
Well, I'm trying to give like a prime example. They say it takes 7 businesses, right, Most millionaires have about 7 businesses or like 7 streams of income, you know, and it takes about, it was like 49, like, forgot what the statistics were exactly, but it was like, you know, a very cool infographic where it was like 7 streams makes a millionaire, right? And it takes about 40 something for only one of those ideas to succeed, right? Now, genuinely, let's go as simple as you're in a sales position making cold calls, right? And you have those numbers in your head. Let's just say 40. Let's just round it up to 50 for the vibes, you know? And you make 10 calls and each one of them is a no. And you're like, man, this sucks. I'm horrible at it. I'm an absolute failure. This job is not designed for me. If someone just hits you with that statistic, what's the first question you're going to ask yourself? Well, did I make 50 calls for one of them to succeed? Did you start and attempt 50 businesses for at least one of them to succeed? And if we go back to the idea that 7 streams of income makes a millionaire, have you attempted 350 businesses? It sounds funny to say, right? Have you attempted 350 businesses?
Failure, you know. Screw you. Screw you.
You're beta AF if you haven't attempted 350
Just
businesses.
vote, bro. Just vote.
Stress. But like it worked primarily for like the sales call position. Yeah, that was rough.
That statement was rough.
Yeah. Like, have you attempted 50 calls? Like, have you received 49 no's for that 50th to be a yes? Failure is literally part of the process. And it's one of those things where you have to start learning how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Every time one of those no's comes up, it's a difficult every single one of those sales calls is a difficult conversation. Like, you're literally cold calling someone to just be like, hey, I'm interested in reaching in your pockets and taking money from it. That's an uncomfortable situation. That's an uncomfortable conversation. There is a high percentage that that's going to fail, right? Accept that and just accept it. Because the sooner you're able to accept it, the faster you're going to get another hit of the hookah.
Facts.
So
Take away from this.
well, take away from this, like this last point I mentioned, or just take away from the whole
I
conversation?
feel like take away from the last thing you just mentioned.
Okay, go ahead. Because there's one more bit of conversation I want to bring up about this whole idea of commitment. Go ahead.
I'm talking about this one specific thing.
Okay, fine, I get it.
350 is
350. Have you attempted 350 businesses? You beta piece of
generate.
you incel. The incel refers to something else, but I don't even fully understand what incel means. But whatever.
Whatever, bro. It's not like our viewers or people understand shit.
Comment down below what an incel is.
Yeah. Like and subscribe before.
You actually want to bring up a point for that last?
No, not at all. It's pure just troll.
Okay, cool. So the last thing I want to kind of bring up in this whole conversation of commitment is, and I didn't even think about it until you said it, but in a relationship setting, you have to understand it's literally called a commitment, right? There is no irony to it. Absolutely no irony. It's not just coincidence that it's called a commitment. It's literally called a commitment because similar to a business endeavor, right? Similar to trying to work your flipping Bitcoin rigs, similar to researching the absolute perfect car, similar to finding the right job that suits you because you're struggling financially. When it comes down to a relationship or a commitment, you have to go into it understanding that 100% effort is required, sacrifices will be made, compromises are the only way it's going to maintain its health, and you have to envision it to be a success. You literally have to, like you said, you have to be hungry for that relationship to be successful. You have to be hungry for that commitment to achieve a natural, positive outcome.
So I heard a quote recently.
Because if you go, hold on, because if you go into a relationship, you go into a commitment, like you said, with half effort, the result of it is going to be exactly what you get.
So in going to use this saying that I heard in this relationship setting, in a business setting. There you go.
Thanks.
It's saying the whole thing of the concept of grass is greener on the other side. And you start getting committed into a business or to a relationship, and then you start noticing that there may be better opportunities, that there may be better looking individuals out there. Someone that's a little bit more clever, someone maybe that's a little bit more successful, someone that's probably a little bit more like taller, shorter, more stylish, funnier. Grass, and this is where the quote comes in. The grass is greener in the area of where you water it. You need to water and nurture that area, that grass patch, in order for it to thrive, in order for the beauty to come out of it. And if you're just constantly going to be looking at different situations and just comparing this and comparing that, I quit my other job where I maybe wasn't too happy, but I was getting paid a salary, but then I started this business and I went almost all in, but here I am and I'm completely failing at it. People are telling me screw off and my whole life is this and I made a huge mistake. And dude, the grass is greener on the other side is a horrible way to think about it, man. And if you think it's going to be greener on the other side, it's going to be greener on the other side. Because your whole lawn that you're looking at constantly is so deprived that all of it's just a dead land. It's dead. There's no vegetation whatsoever because you are not putting any effort. You don't have any goal, any sort of commitment to go into it. So of course it's going to fail. Of course you're not going to be going into like a very successful, like a fruit, saying like filled garden. You're not going to get that because you haven't put in the efforts. You haven't put in the commitment. You haven't put in the time to water your plant, to nurture them in order for them to at least give it the opportunity to grow. You gave up on it. You gave up on it way too soon.
Yeah, I think that mindset is really dangerous of, always thinking like the grass is greener on the other side, is because then you'll end up in a situation where you'll never be satisfied. Even if, for example, you're like, okay, well, that job is better. That job pays more, has better benefits. If you constantly have that mindset where you're never satisfied with what you have, once you get that new opportunity, once you get that new job, you're going to start looking at other positions. You're going to meet other people. And they're going to be like, oh, well, this is the benefits I get. Or they give me a company car. Or I travel half of the year. And now you're going to stop appreciating what you have currently. And once again, you're going to now go and search for a greener patch of grass. Right? And you're going to end up pretty much like Leonardo DiCaprio. Think about it. You'd be like, oh, wow, she's 26. Old. There's another 25-year-old out there. The grass is always greener on the other side. There's someone younger. And your cost is just going to bounce from, one model to another. Shout out to Leo, bro. All
right, but hold the hook and
hold the hook, bro. So, but yeah, if you don't appreciate what you have, if you don't dedicate, time and effort that is required to build what you currently have, then you're literally going to spend your entire life constantly bouncing from one thing to the other.
And you're going to settle at the end of it all because you're going to give up.
Oh, that's actually such a huge point. You are gonna settle, and guess what? You're not gonna settle for something as near as you envisioned.
And it's so funny to think about because when you were in that like job that is a salary base that had all those benefits and you were absolutely miserable. Matter of fact, you were praying for a better opportunity. You're praying for anything like a reason to quit. Some people actually they actually need a reason to quit because they can't quit. They don't have the freaking guts to be like, I am not happy. I'm out.
They're scared.
They're scared, legit. So people are going to be praying for it. And then God blesses you with one opportunity. And then the second you get it, you're like, oh man, I had it so good over there. Mother sucker. You were legit just praying about this opportunity or a different opportunity or a way out. You got it. Why are you complaining now? Why are you complaining?
Yeah. And kind of just to wrap things up, I know I was gonna wrap it up with the whole relationship topic, but I just thought of another one. When it comes down to commitment, especially in the aspect of business, dude, scroll through any social media nowadays, and you're going to find thousands upon thousands of videos talking about thousands upon thousands of ways to make money. Right? And we're not going to, flip and say that, they're all tripping or they're all wrong. And even though a lot of them might just be like completely dumbed down to where like they're not really explaining or they're not really necessarily helping whatsoever,
just start an LLC.
But the point I'm trying to bring is a lot of times what mentors will explain to a person is you got to find something that works and commit to that one thing 100% until that you're able to scale it up as high as possible, or until you're able to automate it. You hire someone to hand it off to, and they do your job and then bounce on the next thing, right? But if you're going to sit there like me, and you're just going to be like, wow, I want to do this, but now I want to do that, or I'm going to jump on this. Oh, yeah, what do you do for a living? Oh, I got like 7 things going on. Where do I start? But none of them are making me any money. Like, when you keep dividing your time and spreading yourself so thin around so many things, that shows the absolute sign that you have no commitment, no direction, no commitment to a single vision. And until you commit yourself to a single idea, to a single vision, you're still, once again, going to be jumping from one patch of grass to the other until one of them somehow magically grows on their own. But you have to be committed, and you have to commit to the patch of grass you've been given, or the patch of grass that's directly in front of you, and start nurturing it, start putting effort into it. 350 businesses, goddammit. Get it right, get it tight.
And just like that,
not financial advice.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Take it away, bro.
Yeah, with that being said, the coffee's been great. The hookah's been fantastic. And, if you guys need more advice on how to be more committed in life, don't ask us. But definitely comment down below what you think about today's episode. And then don't be shy. Comment down, hey, this is kind of fun. Comment down business ideas. Of your 350 business ideas, comment down below which ones you've tried before and which ones you'd like to try.
Also, comment what flavor you think that we're smoking
Oh,
right now.
I like that a lot. Yeah. Joette will get this right. But definitely comment down below. Comment your thoughts on the episode. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about next. But with that being said, we appreciate you for staying this long, and don't be shy to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and signing out. It's been your boy BB, and that's another episode of the King of Average podcast. Good night.
Peace.